I'd like to call to order the Village of Marvin Parks, Recreations, and Greenway Board meeting here on November 2nd, 2021 at 9:10 a.m. I do determine that with myself and Christina and Dan participating remotely that we do have a quorum. Could that other call-in be Kimberly? Or
It's not. She is at the polling places today. She is not attending.
So we don't have a council liaison today, but the next item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Anybody have any questions or changes that they're requesting to be made?
Dan emailed me this morning. He wants us to discuss trail system priorities and funding. So if you guys want to add discussion of trail system priorities and funding, you guys can, now that we've stated it, you can just choose to adopt the agenda as amended and it's automatically added.
That's a lot.
Well, you just have to say adopt as amended.
Okay. So do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the agenda as amended to include discussion of the trail system under item...
We can just put it under new business, item 4.
Under new business as item 4.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Okay, you're good.
Next item is the adoption of the minutes from 10/5/21, which were included in our packet. And anybody have any questions or changes they wish to make regarding those minutes?
Not me.
You good, Dan?
Yep, good.
All right. Do I hear a motion on the table to adopt the October 5th, 21 minutes as they are written?
So moved. Sorry. Passed that from you.
Second?
All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is a public comment period. I don't see anybody signed up here locally. I do see another call-in user, number 4.
I think that might also be Dan.
Oh, okay.
Because if you use 2 devices, it counts as 2 people.
Oh, okay.
There's a call-in.
That doesn't count.
Is there anybody else online that does wish to make any public comment? Okay, no public comment. Next is the public facility manager's update, and the first item on that is Roundabout Plantings update.
All right, so I have a new diagram of Roundabout Plantings from the PRG Representative Bob Nunnenkamp and Councilman Andy Wortman got together and discussed, and it's basically entails moving some of the lower pedlums, or moving the lower pedlum back and adding lantanas and
Wintergreen
putting
boxwoods.
wintergreen boxwoods around the front. And then there's an addition of an azalea on the corners of the pathways, and some wintergreen boxwoods up top where the hollies go.
So the main boxwoods are those green on the outer rim there that you're showing?
Yep.
Yep.
And then
Then it goes to azaleas.
And then azaleas in those corners.
Yeah, the lower pedlum would get moved back here. You know, they're the front corner now.
Yeah.
And then the lantanas would go in front of, or
The muley grass stay?
It's on here and it's coated, so I would say so.
Yeah,
It stays in this area. We just move the lantanas.
So the lantana will be interspersed with that?
It looks like it. I'll get clarification, but I figured this would give you kind of so some addition and some moving is basically.
And you're figuring out that tree in the middle still.
Yeah, I think it's listed as to be determined. Did they?
They hadn't determined.
They didn't determine. Yeah. But I think Hunter has to check on what's allowed.
Yeah, he does. And I think Andy was wanting to make sure that Kim was wanting to make sure that whatever tree was picked, they'll see if the company would replace the dead tree with that one for free.
Yeah, I heard redbud, I heard Japanese maple, and I heard, what's the one?
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtle.
I would not do a Japanese maple just because they're picky
I wouldn't either. I'd do a crepe myrtle.
and they're expensive. The only thing about that, other than the cost, because that seems like it's going to be expensive, but don't plant the lantana until spring. The replacement lantana, because that's where we got in trouble with it this year. We planted it in the fall.
Okay,
It's
that's
not happening.
fine.
I did not know that until Mary Sykes explained it to me.
Okay.
So,
But-
it's definitely a warm weather tree.
Well, so this is just kind of an update. It's already been to council, and I don't think they had any issues
How much?
with it overall.
What's it costing?
I don't know yet.
Because here's just my opinion on the way they look. They already look tons better, and next year they're going to look better again. So I'm kind of impressed with how they kind of come back.
Yeah.
So
You know my opinion.
what? No, tell me what your opinion is.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, then I could easily vote for letting it be.
But
It's a roundabout.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only big thing I think they're doing there then is really the boxwood piece, so that it kind of frames it for when
Yeah.
everything else dies out. So I don't know if we're at that point that we really notice the difference yet, but
I'm gonna go ahead on the record too and say you got more different kind of plants, which diversity is good,
yeah.
but you've got more management because
Yeah.
of that. And some of the Bob says that those boxwoods are tough as nails, so I hope so.
Yeah.
Azaleas they're kind of, they have their moments, they have their problems. You know, things happen to them.
They're not there for part of the year.
You know, there's that, and they bloom for like 15 minutes, and then they're done. But they're mostly green.
Yeah.
But there's a azalea lace bug that gets a hold of them, and that's not pretty. And anyway,
Okay.
because I even think the Lord Petulums are starting to look decent.
Dan, I know it's hard for you to see probably what he's holding up. Is there anything, any
He's coming
questions
to
you
the
have or
camera.
anything?
Which one is it?
No, I would like to say though that I have noticed that things are coming in well and that it does, things are really shaping up, you know, irrespective of what we're going to do. I think it's starting to look good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it looks amazingly better. I
Yeah.
would have never expected it to.
Back in the
look-
spring, it
I
was
was like,
like,
this is
whoa,
bad.
desert.
And especially considering that we haven't been able to water it, and we've
And there
not
hasn't been
had,
a
we had
ton.
crappy summer for things that didn't get watered. The other thing I'm gonna lay out there is, please, dear Lord, we've got another roundabout coming.
Yeah.
And whatever we do to these, I guess we're gonna do to that, and
Yeah.
it's just, anyway.
Don't jinx it now.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
I saw people surveying, so light my candles.
All right, any further discussion on Roundabout Plantings update? Because there's no action that we're looking for here, right?
So you're gonna get a price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And
my task I've been assigned.
so you're gonna get a price to fix those two, but will they? I guess they can't tell you how much that one's gonna cost because we don't know when we're gonna have to do it.
Thank you.
I would say it'd be, close to half of what we paid for those.
All right, next item on the agenda is unfinished business items. First one here is discussion of 2022 Marvin Day celebration, which we've determined the date to be Saturday, May 21st of 2022. Derek, you can kind of kick us off here and we'll fill in some other different action items.
Let me.
And before Derek starts, while he's at it, is this a month that we are going to have
A work
later
session?
in the month a work session?
So you guys, your work session is going to be a joint meeting with council. So they're going to be here too, and it's just a discussion Marvin Day.
Okay.
So
When is it?
they'll be November 30th.
November.
Okay.
Tuesday, November 30th, 9 a.m. This is going to be a crowded room. You'll be fine.
Okay.
I don't have anything at this moment.
I have a couple
I know we
things.
can
too.
see
Yeah, I do
things
too.
here.
Go ahead, Christina.
So, Dan, I sent the pizza thing to you via your email address. It's not that big a deal, just happen to know that these guys are good and they're local.
No, well, that's what you're looking for is, I was having trouble finding local.
Yeah, I don't know how local, but like I said, they show up at the Waxhaw Farmers Market a lot. And I have had that for lunch and for breakfast, so it's all good.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, no, they're nice guys too, nice people. Then the other thing that I have was the logos. And basically what I did, oh, thank you for doing that back on the back. So we only use 2 pieces of paper. This is every single logo we have seen and talked about, and then a couple of new ones on the back. One thing that, and so you'll see October 1st on some of the dates, because those are so early we didn't have a date yet. So just ignore that part.
They say 2021 on them.
Well, yeah, it's wrong. Yeah, all the way around. The other thing to remember too, just before we go too far down the bluebird lane, it's not considered an endangered species. So I don't know if that's going to get us any points or not. I mean, they're actually, their populations are coming back. So that's all good.
Yeah, I think it used to be.
Yeah, it did,
There
yeah.
was like a movement.
We ought to use the Carolina wren just for its resilience. How about that?
Is
Now,
it that the South Carolina bird, state bird?
The
wren?
might be. That thing is, that they will be here with the cockroaches when we're all dead.
So I think, and thank you so much, Christina, for all of these different.
I know, I
options
think
that we
we've run
got.
out of ideas at this point.
So I guess what we want to kind of establish, okay, here's our ideas. We've kind of run through the gamut of different things here
Yeah.
now, and we've got some really nice options here, I think, from all of them.
We're missing one.
Which one is that?
The owl and the bird riding on the back of the horse.
East to west.
We were gonna take one of these and put a weather vane on it with a horse on it. One of the birdhouses and a weather vane and a horse on it, but we didn't quite get around to that.
So I guess, probably the logo is something that I think, council may want a recommendation from us, but then they're
They
gonna wanna
do.
have some input too.
Sure.
So that's probably something that, we've got these now, that joint meeting that we'll have for a work session when we'll have everyone together.
I would maybe narrow this down.
Yeah.
You wanna do that?
Too many cooks in the kitchen with too many logos in the
No, he is absolutely right. I've been there, done that, and we will talk about it for 3 days, if we have this many to look at.
Well, so what if we do this then?
I picked
There's
3.
probably 3 or 4 different genres here.
Yeah, no, there are. Well, that's the thing, these
So
last
maybe
ones.
if we pick kind of one from each of those, to give us a representative thing, and then.
And I would also say, for instance, my number one pick is this red owl. Okay, that's just what I happen to like, and I think Bob agrees, but I'm not. But I don't like this font here, the May 21st font. But
Yeah.
that's the easiest thing on here to change,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, I would run it up there, but.
And a red owl versus a brown owl.
Well, we were gonna have all different colors for different things. I mean, you could have
Yeah.
whatever color you wanted. Somebody said brown is dull, so
Okay.
we did this.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be blue, it could be purple, it could be whatever.
Can you take this same font and just
Yeah, and just smaller.
521?
Mhm. And just
22?
run around that corner there.
That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
I think it would look better. So if I pick that one as one,
Talking about this one, Dan.
The red
With
owl.
The red owl in the upper right-hand corner.
and I do know that Bob has got it in his head, I mean, and rightly so, that we need something that is colorable for little kids. So like
Yeah.
if we printed one of these owls off with no colors in it, you could do whatever you wanted to with
Yeah.
it, right? And you could put it on a piece of wood, you could paint it, it's all very straightforward.
So do we feel number one option, we'll do the red owl?
With a change to the font.
You feel good with that, Dan?
Yeah, I like that one.
From an owl perspective? Okay, so there's one.
And we'll just,
From an owl perspective, yes, I like that.
yeah, The other one is kind of.
All right, let's go to the front page where we have the Marvin Day with either pictures of the church or pictures of the town hall incorporated into them.
I kind of felt like we couldn't really use the church. Our logo maker didn't get that in his head.
Yeah. And I think it might make sense, you know, to give the town hall. But the one thing that we want to keep in mind is this is something that we want to kind of go forward in the future. We're trying to create a logo and a brand, you
Right.
know.
It's also not easy for kids to draw if they wanted to try to draw.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Unless they're future architects.
But if we
But it's posh
were
looking.
to choose one from the churches and the town halls, which one do we have a preference for?
Do we need what is this all gonna go on? Do we need it to have a border, like a couple of them do?
I don't think it needs to have a
Are there
border, no.
reasons for that?
And frankly, if we say you pick the very first one, the biggest one, I don't know if you can see, the one on the far left,
Yeah.
that doesn't have a border on
Yeah.
it. If you pick that one and you needed it to have a border, you could add a border. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're
So
right.
if it's already got a border, it's harder to take it off.
I think in some case, our kind of village logo, doesn't it have kind of a shield built into it? Is that maybe why?
Our
that is there?
well, the seal is just a seal. It's a circle.
It's a circle, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for some reason
Well,
I remembered seeing a
there it is.
shield
No.
incorporated. No?
No.
Thank you for bringing that.
It's on the top of your agenda.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's on the top of the agenda too.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I don't love the shield thing. It sounds too
Yeah.
too poshy.
Heraldic, too.
Yeah. I mean, this is not a castle in the UK. Thank you very much. I personally would go with the first one if we're going to pick one off of this page. As much as the clam is hilarious,
Yeah.
I would pick the
I
first.
We're not
kind of agree
seafaring.
with that too.
Neither
How
is that
do you
hill
feel
splitter.
about that, Dan? Do you like the border or
Agreed.
without? Agreed.
He's just going
I
to be
like the
agreeing.
without the border. I think that's a good point. We can add one whenever we need to, but it's not
Yeah.
gonna take away it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll check off that one.
And then we have to pick at
Um,
least one bluebird.
Yep, and then looking at the bluebirds.
Now, one thing I didn't do on these is like the ones that are black. I mean, it was like a crow or something, but we could just do the outline of a bird, right? And then again, you can color it whatever you want to.
Yeah.
That was another Bob idea that I don't think he shared with anybody. But that it doesn't have to just be a bluebird.
What's the
Yeah,
difference
that's what I
between
was
these
thinking.
three?
Would
Oh, it's more realistic.
that would look good in black with the black.
With a black house?
Yeah, like everything in black.
Well, and to Derek's point, the best logos, because I've had this drilled into my head for 20 years, the best logos are those that in black and white still look good. So if we took the Marvin Day one with looks like a crow, where it's all black, either of those, and everything was black and white there, it would still look good. Where the little
you
bluebird's
make a
not
good
so
point,
much.
because I kind of like the ones that are very colorful to the left with the branch,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure how that would look in black and white because you got a lot of grayscale
Yeah.
there.
It wouldn't look
You
good.
know, with the yellow.
It does look like a crow or a raven though.
But if we made it an outline, then it would look less like a crow. Or even if you use this one
I-
here. With
Why
I
the-
think
not? Why
if
not
you- I
have a
think if
colored
you
version
go
of it?
Oh, you would. You would. I'm sorry. You absolutely would have a color version. So, like, this is the same bird.
Yeah.
So say this is your regular logo, but that's what it's going to look like in black and white unless you do an outline of it.
I think the problem with doing any of these in the black and white is they're always going to look like a crow.
Well, unless they're an outline. So
Unless
let me
it's an
do,
outline, yeah.
let me do either, and it might be that top one looks better as an outline. But
Why not just use that one? Use that one as your black and white, and just use
Yep.
that one as the color.
Well, I still think
I still
that
wanna
one
do
looks
it.
like a crow though.
I still want to do an outline.
Boy, that one would be an outline.
Yeah, okay.
Let me make an outline version. That shouldn't be that hard. And it may end up being the top one instead. So he's got that little white bit of his wing. It shows his wing a little bit better, this guy here.
Yeah.
That one might work out better. I also put a hole for the birdhouse in there. I added.
I was wondering what that was.
Yeah, it's just this little.
So the
We don't have
ones
that.
on the right, the only differences really are in the fonts.
Yeah.
So disregarding the fonts, if we were to look at these two, but
Yeah.
this be more of a black outline than
Yeah.
black bird.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes.
These top two on the right as a black and white and color version of it?
And a black and white version of themselves, yeah.
You good with that, Dan?
The ones, I printed it in grayscale, the black and white, they actually, because they're fairly high definition, even the ones on the left look pretty good.
Oh, so he already did the black and white.
Yeah, yeah.
The thing is though, if you're really wanting a black and white logo, you don't get gray, because those are colors. You get black and you get white. You need a version of your logo that works in two colors, basically.
Well, yeah, you would have to. You would have you would have a black and white version of the logo that does have grayscale.
If you're really,
If you were doing something like this one.
but say you're doing printing and you're only going to do one color print, and you got a T-shirt a certain color,
Yeah.
you're going to do a one color print. You basically have two colors, right? You have the color that you're printing and the color of the shirt.
Yeah,
So you're down to no grayscale. I see what you're saying.
yeah,
For printing purposes, like on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
sure, grayscale you got.
but when you're doing apparel and stuff like
And-
that,
and-
or banners.
Yeah. Now, if you go all colors, no big deal. Doesn't
Yeah.
cost a whole lot more. Once you flip over to the color version,
Yeah.
then
Even flyers and things like that.
Yeah, no, it
You
doesn't
know?
matter. Yeah. You're not going to print a flyer in black and white.
I do like the design of the ones on the left though, only because I know we didn't like the shield on the other one and stuff like that, but I see that kind of as a more complete logo, you know?
Well, why don't we keep? I mean, we still narrowed it down a lot. If we keep
Could-
the
could-
owl, the house, and
Yeah,
these three across.
Could we see about taking a look at one of the bluebirds on the left, but a comparable version that's more black and white?
Oh yeah, so make this black and white.
Yeah.
What would this look like?
Yeah, and without including the stuff that would require the grayscale, you know?
Okay. So then that would give us 4 on this page and the other
Yeah.
2. That we've still narrowed it down a lot because these are of a.
Yeah.
These go together and those will go together. So
Correct.
it's really only 4. Does that make sense?
Sound good, Dan?
Yeah, that's great. That was fast narrowing.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Must be Bob holding us up all.
That's what it is. Put that in the notes.
No, we're just kidding, Bob. We
it-
love you here.
I do think I talked to all of you guys about the band situation
Yeah.
and the band we wanted.
The 80s band not available.
Not available. I guess we could try to find out who they were playing for and get that thing canceled, but I don't think that's I don't know kind of what to do about that. They are one of a kind in this area.
Well, Jamie was also.
Well, he's got a couple of front guys that
Yeah.
are singers. Well, I wouldn't say singer-songwriters. That kind of means it's a different thing. But they're going to want to do their stuff.
Yeah.
And then they will do a
And
couple
we were
of
told
stuff.
looking more for a cover band or something.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure there's got to be more than just that one around.
Oh, there's plenty,
that
but
we got to figure out.
at least in my experience, most of them are a little edgier than we probably want here.
Yeah.
Right? They're more like, I wouldn't call them biker bands, but that's where most of us
Yeah.
all play, is in biker bars and stuff. So you don't play Casey and the Sunshine Band at a biker bar if you want to be able to leave in one piece. So I told Jamie this the last time. I think what we're going to be looking for is like a wedding band. And I don't know how you go see those people unless you get invited to a wedding.
Well, and how soon do we have, like, how long are these folks booked out?
Well, so I
We're
called
talking about 7-8 months now.
So I called, the 80s band, and that was 2 months ago they were booked out.
Yeah.
So good bands, they're booked out.
Yeah.
No, that's not to say that there's not a good band that isn't, but
Yeah.
I mean, we've got bookings all the way through to next year this time already. So and we're not even that great.
And you get into May and it's a heavy wedding time.
Exactly,
And stuff like
exactly.
that. too.
That's a popular, like you said, time of year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
But there are some
big name regional, if not national acts that just aren't doing a lot of touring. Either they're getting up to that age, where they've been on the road for 20 or 30 years, or
I guess it depends on how much you want to spend.
yeah,
You know?
I've priced it just a couple. I know, anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking like been on the radio, been on MTV type.
Well, I know Jamie also does have some of the music background, so when we have that council meeting later in the month, we're gonna wanna make sure that's specifically a big target that we can talk about. But until that time, if we can all keep our eyes or ears open, or go to a Friday evening,
Well, I can tell you who's playing
Check
when and
somebody
where
else,
around
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't think those are gonna be what you're looking for, mostly.
Yeah.
But, Flashback is a band out of Asheville, and some of them live around here too. And they play some of that, well, Flashback, they play
Yeah,
older
yeah.
stuff. Well, not older stuff, but 80s, whatever. But they're not, I mean, they look like a bunch of old guys standing up there playing
Yeah.
80s music. And that's what was so cool about the other band whose name escapes me right this minute. Kids in America. Yeah. They really, like, they dress up and they really go for it.
They're a
like
production.
yeah, they are. They're a lot of fun. So don't go see them. You'll be disappointed if we can't get them.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know Jamie's working on it, so hopefully he'll have something. I'm not doing anything other than checking out bands that I kind of already know.
I had a couple of things that I had been following up on too. The high school got a new choir director. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's the wrong area for this. I'm in Christmas
Tree
mode.
lighting, yeah.
Yeah, tree lighting mode. But what I did also do, I'd spoken about the equestrian stuff. I had a meeting with one of my neighbors who's worked on Marsh before, Jill Grisset, who is very plugged into a lot of folks in the equestrian community. And she's jumped in and reaching out to a couple of her contacts and so forth. One that she mentioned, and she hasn't had a chance to talk to them yet, but like Cedar Hill, which is basically right across from the high school. A lot of these,
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of these folks have shows and stuff like that regularly at that time anyway. So she was going to check with the owner there. And if they were planning to possibly have a show,
Yeah.
they might have an actual show that we could open up to the public. The only issue there might be some parking things, but they're literally right across from the high school.
can
So
walk over.
if at some point while that's going on, we might have an officer there or something to help,
Yeah.
direct people back and forth across the street. But we could use the high school parking lot depending on time and stuff like that I'll be getting more information on.
Well, the more, like, if let's say they're already going to have a show that day, or they're willing to have one that day, we'll have cross-pollination, because we would promote them and they would promote
Correct.
us. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
What were they having?
They would normally have like a hunter-jumper type of show, and it would probably include a number of people from the local community.
Who would go
right
anyway.
in it, who would be going anyway. They do get some pretty decent crowds there sometimes for some of their shows. I haven't confirmed this yet, but one lady that I know back when we did mayor's events and things like that, who was always willing to jump in, was Carol Land. She owned Shea Rose right on Waxhaw Marvin Road there. And they did a very unique type of equestrian activities with vaulting, where they're almost doing gymnastics on the horses. Unfortunately, I think she may have just recently sold. So I don't know if she's sold and she's moved, just the farm to another area. But that's somebody else that we're trying to figure out the situation with. And there's a couple of others similar where, I know somebody that does cutting, where they kind of wrangle, calves and stuff like that, and have the horses going back and forth. And that's something that's relatively easy. I know they've been able to show that in the past. So we're looking at like 2 or 3 times in venues, maybe throughout the day, and we'll work with, the larger group here from a scheduling standpoint as we kind of look at that. One other thing that we talked about that has been quite a draw in the past is there's groups that will come in and come to a place and do pony rides for kids.
Okay.
So, just wondering, we've done that in the past, so I don't,
Like at the park?
yeah, that could be something that we could easily do right at the park. We've done it at the park there in the past, actually, when the park first opened.
And that would be good to have around the time we're gonna do nature walks before, like, we could
Because
ride
then
the
you're
horse,
drawing
little
some
tiny horse,
kids
and then
and stuff
walk
like
around.
that, and,
Mhm. So we
yeah,
could tie those kind of things together.
yeah.
Or not tie them together to keep parking down, whatever we need to do, so, no,
But-
that's cool.
But those are just some of the ideas that Jill and I discussed, and she's starting to reach out to some of these folks and venues to see what their availability or things like that might be, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
So there are 3 or 4, I can't remember now, houses in my subdivision that have horses. And one of them has, I'm not a horse person, so I don't know what it is, but like a rink, right? That she
Arena,
just, yeah, ring. Yeah, that she just got done, white gravel stuff. I don't know what it is. And so there's a bunch of horses over there. So I don't know if they would, because it's kind of one-stop shopping. There's one across the street and then 3 over here, I think is how it is. So they're all right there on the same road on Lark Ridge.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that would be, I can at least ask them.
We talked about that too, because I'm in a similar type neighborhood where there's 25% of our 80 lots are horse.
Oh,
lots
really? That many? Wow.
Over in Providence
Of
Estates.
course, I guess that's 25% too.
Yeah.
We just are smaller.
The only question that kind of comes into there is parking.
Yeah.
Depending on the place. Now, my neighborhood is really a combination of a bunch of cul-de-sacs. So,
Yeah.
people could park along the road very easily. There's typically a lot of, but we haven't really gotten that far, and because some of the opportunities like Cedar Hill, that's an actual equestrian
Exactly.
facility.
Exactly.
She was also going to reach out to the other one. I forget their new name, but they're on Crane Road, right across from the high school there as well.
Yeah, and maybe
So-
that's enough,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Well, and that's
Bob's
what we
point.
want to do, something that's good and kind of harkens back to, why we support the equestrian community
Right.
here and things like that. But we don't want to make it too big.
too horsey.
Well, not just too horsey, but it gets harder to do anything real well when you start off too big.
Bob keeps it.
And it's the type of thing where you start small, and then
Right.
next year we gauge how well it went, and
Yeah.
if people were really into those activities, maybe we do a couple more of those,
Right.
different things
No,
like that.
I agree. I think we ought to have the horse contingent, but we should keep it small. You're
Yeah.
right. And Bob keeps saying that. We ought to. He's absolutely right. I know better.
Yeah.
Yes. Less is more. That needs to be our logo.
Dan, anything from you?
So, I think at the next meeting where we talk about the things in a little more depth, could you go ahead and book some of these food truck folks, or at least kind of try and lock them in? I want to make sure I have an idea of the exact locations, and I know we don't know this, but how many people per location, and the durations that we're gonna be there, if that makes sense. Those are the things I think I want to nail down a little bit, and then so I can go out and try and lock them in.
I think, Dan, that you might be able to at least pencil them in. To say, can you hold the 21st and give us first right of refusal? And so at least you've got, I kind of feel like that with the band. Okay. I kind of feel like that with the band because we're already running up against people who are booked already. And food trucks may well be too. I mean, May's a really busy month for
Yeah.
good reason.
Okay,
Was he asking about?
so the duration would be
It's gonna be
typically,
later for how
we'd be
long?
talking about lunch through early evening?
You might even be talking about later, I mean, this is, the board over here has got the band going from 5 to 10:30 with possible fireworks after.
I didn't put that up there.
But Derek said he had nothing to do with that timing. I'm sure there's a noise restriction. At some point you have to stop making noise. Is it 11 around here?
Well, they have football games that go until 10 and band stuff, so.
Yeah, but 10.
At least 10.
At least 10, yeah. A
Okay,
band-
so I'll take that approach. I'll see what they make me tell them.
Yeah.
And I'll go that way.
Just I mean, I think that's what Bob's been doing with artists and gardens and stuff like that. He's just getting them to pencil in the date, and if something else comes up, call him.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks. And if I see any more food, I'll let you know.
Yeah, anybody local, I think, is what I'm missing. Like, I got plenty of options, and I think that are recommended by this woman Angela, who seems great. And so I think we're good there. I just, the in Marvin or close to Marvin, the better.
There's a waffle, a Belgian waffle stand at the Waxhaw Farmers Market too. I'm assuming they're pretty local if we need breakfast
That sounds pretty good.
or lunch, because people eat that all
Or
day.
dinner.
So actually, I'm trying to think if there are other food. It just depends at the Waxhaw Farmers Market what you're going to get. They're always there.
All right, anything else on 2022 Marvin Day celebration? All right, we'll leave a bunch of these items, and don't forget then Tuesday, November 30th is our workshop with council.
I will add, I know that Bob is working on artists and gardens.
Mhm.
I'm helping him with some of the gardens, just trying to see if some of my master gardener chickies.
Yeah, and
got
I
him
saw,
an
I saw
art- I got him an
Austin
artist.
sent out a specific request for it too,
Yes, yeah, we sent
a day or two ago.
it to we have it in our
The HOA,
newsletters,
the
and we sent
HOA
it-
list, yeah.
Sent
That's
the
what I
HOAs
saw.
and the newsletter.
Good,
Yep.
good.
All right, unfinished business items number 2 is an update on Belle Grove Trail and Innisbrook Connector.
All right, yeah, I wanted to give you guys an update. So in regards to Belle Grove, I spoke to the developer about 2 weeks ago, just to confirm that not to construct the trail, receive fee in lieu, and make sure that we were still secure an easement. Because that's what the property owners want out there is the, just where the trail's placed and everything. There's some things that need to be figured out. So there's needs to put the trail into, or they don't want the trail just due to the
Privacy concerns.
privacy and the rainwater and other type of, or like the stormwater runoff and other type of concerns. So working on a fee in lieu with the developer on that, and then we will potentially then look back at that situation. In regard,
I had one question about that, and this is an issue that we've run into over time, where we had an issue with the Tullamore Trail. But when we're approving these developments, is there some way that we can put in a requirement that forces the developers to inform the buyers within their neighborhood of trail easements and things like that? Because what seems to happen is that the developer does it in the planning stage, and then if the trail doesn't go in right away or whatever, all of a sudden people come in, are not made aware of it, and it becomes an issue then. You know what I'm saying?
and, yeah, I mean, we can work within the try, but
Like
in
put
a-
on
in a
them
hard-
like that
my
they
hard-
have a duty to notify
well, that's
within
it.
their plans
Yeah,
or something.
my harsh opinion is
you know?
that's where due diligence of a homeowner comes into play.
Yeah.
And because it is on the recorded plat already, it should be
Yeah.
something that's on their deed. And so, not to be rude when if a whole property owner comes up saying, why is this going in? But it was there when they.
It was always
Yeah,
always
it's
supposed to be
there.
there.
And that's why I wonder then though,
There-
why we do these accommodations on the back end necessarily, when it should have been known and upfront, because, council, staff, everybody spends a lot of time putting these things together.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, one homeowner that didn't do their due diligence starts to say, hey,
Yeah.
and fire up a bunch of other homeowners and it was,
Well, if I may, if I may too, like, there's one home, I just moved in, much after this, but in our neighborhood, there's one homeowner apparently that killed having a trail that connects up, that would now connect up to other trails in the neighborhood, in the area. And, I'm angry about that because I'm a homeowner who wants to access the trail because we have no sidewalk.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease sometimes, and things we've worked on for the, because I remember that one exactly, Dan, and they kind of come up out of nowhere, and we've had people run for council or go on boards with one issue to, try to get rid of something that we already have.
No, you make a great point, and that gets into exactly what's going on with the Innisbrook thing, and which I'll touch on that in a sec, but kind of get to wrap up the Belgrove is that, yeah, we can work on what we can with trying to have the developer promote it, but I mean, that's when they're ultimately selling the lots or the houses. Like I said, I don't know. I mean, that's something that a realtor should that should be in your disclosures and stuff when you're signing documents about owning the home, because those. The trail itself is already on the final plat as deeded to the Village of Marvin, so it is there. Like, the easement is there, but the actual trail going in, I mean, that's where we're at, and they're closing out the development. So, one way or another, either way, we control the easement, or it's being recorded, or it's being turned over to us. So even if a property owner even if a developer says, "Hey, there's going to be a trail going in," well, due to whatever, maybe type of funding or whatever, if the village is responsible, they got a fee in lieu and they're going to be the ones that ultimately puts it in, it could be anywhere from next year to 10, however long.
Correct.
And so, there's a lot of variables there, but as long as, they're aware that, one, there's an easement going back to their property and what it's for, I think that's kind of the biggest thing. And trust me, it's just not a Greenway easement. It's with any type of easements, because we had a guy call up from the preserve Thursday about the sewer easement that the county went and tied into and tore up his yard. And anyways, it's just people aren't aware of necessarily what is on their property and what those easements are and what they can and can't do in them. And that's kind of gets back to the trail there. Dan, were you gonna say something?
One quick question: is there due to any kind of pressure, I want to make sure we don't give in on that at some point in time, or maybe we should in some cases. I don't know, but is it easy? Has in the past have we as council or other folks, have we had homeowners complain, and so one homeowner kills the trail for everybody because they complained about the.
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times.
Well, in his neighborhood, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, even when
I think that I don't even know what I don't know. That was 2000.
Derek and I were in. This was after council approved the funding for the preserve
Internal
preserve trail. We had a property owner come in and we spent probably 30 minutes with him trying to show him where the easement is, his property, all this other stuff, because his concern was that they're going to be right up on their backyard. So I mean, it's going to happen regardless of what the development is, and regardless if you tell them once again at the beginning of buying the property, because I think you're going to have one or two that are going to be weary of it. I mean, and the easiest, that they're not going to be necessarily for it, or they're going to have this. The biggest thing is this privacy concern, because on a plat or on a map, they see anywhere from a 30 to 50 foot wide easement for a greenway, but the path is only from 5 to 8 feet wide that maneuvers. So that's the hard concept.
I can see where that would.
On the plat, it's oh, it's coming right up to my backyard. No, not necessarily. Yeah. It might for a minute because it's weaving and stuff like that, and that's what I think is hard for them to see on a plat compared to when it's on the ground and finished.
So let me ask a stupid question. Why not put the trail in earlier? And I understand about construction mess.
Yeah.
Live through it. I get that could be a problem.
Well, here's the thing. It's very easy when you're doing a trail, like a developer is just donating, an easement around that property. But when you're talking about a number of the other things that we have on our master plan, and you're talking about individual homeowners that you'd have to,
that's for an existing.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in a new space. Just go ahead and put the trail in.
Well, I think the goal has been more to move in that direction over the last couple of years.
Yeah, the issue with Belgrove is that it's been through, I think, 4 different developers now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and
that's its own set.
It's a cluster.
Yeah, that's its own set.
It's got a whole other set of issues other than this one. But this one is something that like I said, one of the some of the property owners have conveyed to council about their concerns of it. They call it a path to nowhere, because they are kind of on an island out there. There's other concerns, but it's mainly too is, once again, they're seeing I think it's, like I said,
30 watt
is it
foot
30? Yeah, they're
strip.
seeing a strip, and it's like they're not grasping.
Oh, most people cannot visualize. I
So-
mean, that's just human nature. Yeah.
So with that being said, it's like, with all the other issues that are running on there, and I mean, there's a Duke Energy easement that runs on the back of some of those, and this trail was proposed to run parallel with it, and I'm trying to figure something out with that easement. There's other stuff with, like I said, stormwater drainage and flooding, so that's what was just a
I believe the
request.
backside of that easement was also going to potentially connect to off of Providence Road,
Yeah.
the senior community, Amber Meadow,
The courtyards.
courtyards, yeah. So there was supposed to be some interconnectivity back there, that they may not be thinking where they're focused just on theirs,
Yeah.
the
wait.
path to nowhere. I mean, I could see where that could get.
Well, yeah, and that's
Legs.
But
that's
sometimes
luckily
you
why-
do that at first,
Of
though,
course
to
you
tie
do.
in
Yeah.
later.
Of course,
And that's luckily why, I mean, look, we had the fee and lieu language, because I think, from my position, I think that's a huge asset to have for any type of development, because you either force them to put them in, or you get that fund to get sidewalk eventually there and make a complete type system. So, with that being said, I had a phone call with the developer for Belle Grove 2 weeks ago. He followed up with me, and then he followed up with me from a prior conversation back when I basically first started and had no idea what was going on. And we discussed it. He had some questions about, or he's asking me something about one part of the trail, and I said I have to figure it out. I think I got the answers, and so I sent him an email on Thursday following up with him about now seeing the fee and lieu. Obviously, it's not going to cost that much to install, because they are just kind of naturally winding, and it's just, so I'm going to be working with him to secure that. I will mention, and I have no idea if they're tied in two and two, is when the development was approved back in 2014, there was a $10,451 fee in lieu paid by the developer to the village for recreation purposes. And I don't know if that has anything tied into the trail or not, but that's part of my concern is, I mean, it's a different developer, and I just don't know.
Yeah.
Literally,
I might
when you
have
read
some old stuff.
Yeah, well, and the reason I bring that up is because if anybody has an idea, that'd be great.
That was
when I
in
read
2015,
2014,
2014.
it was
So-
originally approved. The preliminary plan and construction plans were approved in 2013. The final plat was approved in 2014. But when I read the memo, it just says for recreation purposes, and it doesn't say for night.
For the fee and lieu.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
So that could be all kinds of things. Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
And I pulled up an Excel that said we have. I mean, and it says that the developer at the time, which was Land Tech, paid it.
Mhm.
So.
Follow the money.
Yeah. So, I mean, my only concern is I don't want to try going to then fight for another fee in lieu if a previous developer's already paid something.
Okay.
So, I don't know, like I said, if they're tied together, or if one was for something specifically or I had no idea.
Yeah.
So, if anybody has any type of information on that, I'd be happy to hear what you got, but I'll be looking into that, and then I'll probably provide you guys another update at the next meeting. With the Innisbrook connector for the Preserve Inner Trail, that one is on a complete hold. Due to exactly what you guys were just saying about how one property owner be kind of fighting it, is that if you guys are familiar where the Preserve Inner Trail is going in Innisbrook, they were a property owner decided that he was going to donate land for an easement to connect Innisbrook to that trail. Well, his neighbor sold the house.
Oh, yeah.
The new neighbor, great guy, loves the idea of all of it, but it's kind of the not in my backyard thing and the direct thing. So with that, that's the neighbor who has the concern, and so the original property owner who was going to donate the land is being a respectful neighbor. And all they requested is that, I've met with them about 3 or 4 times now, giving them information on gave them our master plan, answered questions, all this other stuff. Because once again, I met with him my second week here and
Yeah.
didn't know anything really about what was going on. So
And yet you stayed.
it's like I said, had to learn quick. But the mayor and Kim and I met with them about 3 or 4 weeks ago just to try and really secure this thing, especially since we were about to fund the preserve trail, and just kind of still at a deadlock, and they basically just requested, hey, we want to see maybe the trail put in and see like how many people are using it and stuff. So it's not an official not happening, but it's not going to be happening as soon as we wanted.
I hate to ask another stupid question, but they want to see the trail put in, but they don't. Okay, but that bit must not touch them.
No. It's the connector was running, basically like here's the preserve trail.
They want to wait for the preserve trail to be done before.
That trail. Got
Yeah.
it. Okay.
And like these are the properties right here. Like if that's the preserve trail,
Yeah.
these were the two properties, and there was going to be easement basically right here
Okay.
to connect to the trail.
Yeah.
And this property owner, which the easement wasn't even going to be on his property, had some concerns. Like I said, I mean, he just moved here. He understands it, but the issue was that they wanted the concern was in and out. I mean, once again, people in and out, especially
Yeah,
right by
I
my
get
house.
it.
And so I think when
they're gonna walk through there anyway, but whatever.
yeah, I mean, I had another property owner ask me like, what's stopping me from putting up, because there's a creek back there, putting up a bridge and letting people from it. I said nothing, but it's just a liability on your end because it's your property and so I mean, I think there's a chance that we might be able to secure that later on, but
So we're moving forward with the other one. It's just the connector.
yeah, the connector.
Yeah. Okay.
Basically to connect Innisbrook to that trail.
Yeah, because it's going to connect.
And
if
there's-
anybody knows it's over there, they're just going to find a way to get
Yeah,
there.
and
They're
they're
like deer.
the-
All of us are.
The other thing is where that original connector was being proposed was about the only spot it could have been done without
Because there's
going
some water
through,
back there.
going back through multiple properties or something. But if it's still kind of a, as maybe as that trail gets built, if it's something that we maybe get pushed by some of the Innisbrook residents, it's just going out to go door to door to all the property owners that abut it and just say, hey, what's the chances that we get an easement through the side of your yard, and see what they say. I mean,
Yeah.
all they're gonna say is no, and it
No,
doesn't
exactly.
work out. So, because the way I explain it to people, it's like it's gonna be like a golf cart path. It's gonna be like it's going to be a path that comes out, and it's going to be screened and buffered for the most part,
Yeah.
all the way through into the trail. So it's like you wouldn't necessarily really notice it in certain areas.
And somebody else is maintaining it.
Yeah.
Yeah, any part of my yard you'd like to come maintain.
So we'll see on that. I was gonna add one other thing. I know it's on the agenda as just those two, but I was gonna mention about the railroad stuff, the railroad connector.
Go ahead.
I think I mentioned to you guys at the last meeting or 2 meetings ago. If you guys aren't aware,
The whole
the cell tower thing.
is
One of the
coming up.
conditions of that, one of the conditions of the potential approval of that application is that there's a connector easement deeded to the village of Marvin to connect the Tullamore or Marvin Branch Trail, Greenway to Ray Road.
Yeah.
Is this the thing that Dan has been talking
Yes.
about? Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
good. This is Dan's trail.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I don't think he wants
Well,
that label
it-
now.
No.
Yeah.
concept.
it's simple. Yeah,
No letters, please.
it's I would not be surprised.
That's probably caught us in the middle of things then.
Well, one, I think
because
so, but
it's a condition for the tower, so people that are not supporting the tower are wondering, well, why is
well,
Marvin-
and the village had nothing to do with that. That was a
Correct.
recommendation from the county.
Yeah.
The county knew we've been promoting greenways and trails over the last couple of years. That's a high goal of the council. So that was recommended by county planning staff, and so potentially that will happen, and most likely I don't know. I don't really know if the application is gonna get approved, but I also can't speak for the county and their elected body.
Yeah.
So, I do know that.
But whether that gets approved or not, eventually, even if it doesn't get approved, then there's still the opportunity
Yeah,
to work with
we
the
just-
property owners and
Yeah, because that
and
land's not gonna
trail.
be used for anything.
This is
Yeah.
the trail to Andy's,
Correct.
Yes.
right? Okay, this is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like, in simple terms for the village of Marvin would be if this thing got approved, only in regards to the trail. Now, everything else going on, it's not, like I said, there's a lot of the surrounding residents that are
Oh,
opposing
yeah.
the tower themselves. And
Of
so it's a very, tricky thing, but basically, we'll see what happens with that. And then if there's anything we can potentially, if it gets denied by the county, then potentially see if there's another way to maybe secure some type of access connector to Ray Road.
Gotcha.
Yeah, for safety purposes alone.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Fun.
Next item on the agenda, number 3 in unfinished business, is discussion of the pocket park.
Is this me?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So, I don't know what date it was, probably a month ago now. I met with Keith O'Haron. I know you've met him.
That's the tree person.
He's our new urban forester for the county.
Mhm.
And he has apparently met with everybody, probably maybe even on council, I don't know, but Marvin is one of his, he does a couple of the towns and the unaffiliated Union County. So he's our urban forester, even though he's way over there in Monroe. But we went over to the pocket park, walked around. I showed him the plan that we've had for, ever. And he said he thought that would work out really well. He gave me some ideas about getting that privet out of there. He said it's going to be expensive, but I think we knew that. The privet right now is full of berries, so just know that we've missed a year of, this is going to make more babies, but whatever, it'll be fine. But he also pointed out a couple other trees that he thought needed to go. There's a Bartlett, a Bradford pear in there, needs to go. I'll go cut that one down myself. So he was just saying that there's a lot of really good natives already in there. It was full of boneset and goldenrod when we walked through there. That's probably already passed now, but he thought the plan would work, and we just needed to be, we needed to really focus on getting the privet out.
Yeah.
Then we turned around, so if you're standing in the parking lot, you're looking at the parking lot, the pocket park. If you turn around, there's a white oak tree. Have you noticed that one? It's on a strip, so now you're kind of looking back at Publix.
Mm-hmm.
Publix is over there on your left. And there's a white oak tree, and it's so surrounded, you probably didn't notice it because it's so surrounded with other crap that you can't really see it. It's huge. And so one of the things he suggested was if we could also get the okay to clear off around there, you could really see that oak tree. And there's just some scrubby, probably, I didn't go over there and look, but it's probably invasive stuff. It's probably privet, actually.
You said on the other side of the parking lot?
Yeah,
On the corner?
there's a strip there. He says there's
Yeah.
a big, 4 acres worth of a strip there
I know
that
where-
has to
I know
stay.
where you're
Is
talking
that
about.
still future development? Yeah, because I went and looked at it too.
I think it has to stay a
Hold on.
strip of,
If you're looking at Publix to the left,
so you're looking at Publix, it's to the right.
to the right.
We're
Okay.
standing at the pocket parks
Where
behind
that
us.
little
So-
ravine is
so
that they
it's-
kind of dug in.
Yeah, okay, I'm making, so that's probably just part of their tree preservation
Yes.
/ buffer strip.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
it was
I
just
mean,
a
And
nice,
he's just saying we might just highlight that tree a little bit more.
just
by
clean
trimming
it,
around.
clean the invasives off of it,
We'll
leave.
just have to, we can work with the,
Public.
we can work with.
But it
Publix.
is a gorgeous tree, and it looks like that the parking lot and everything is far enough away from it, it's probably gonna be fine. But it's a really nice oak.
I have to go out there today.
Yeah, have a look
So
at
I'll go
it. You'll
look.
notice. And especially now with the leaves falling off, you'll see this massive thing. Also, relative, so whenever we can get started with the privets, that would be the first thing I would want to do is get those cut down and unfortunately hauled off and then grind the stumps. That's the first thing, and then we can sort of see the lay of the land, and I would probably change my design a little bit.
Do they have to be hauled off or can we
Because of the
grow?
berries all over them. Because if you leave those seeds, we're just going to have millions of privets.
Can I see your design for a second?
Oh, yeah, you know, not really awesome.
And
This has
and
been
those
approved
seeds
by
will
council.
survive being burnt?
That's a good question. I could,
Cause just.
Good question.
In my clearing land experience, it's a whole lot cheaper if you can burn it on
It's
site.
less than an acre.
Less than
It's
that.
1.05.
burn
actually.
privet,
Yeah.
will seed survive? Most likely, yes, but I'll look. It's worth a shot, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of gives us a little bit of,
God, you
we'll
need to
see.
do the dog park right
Because then what you do is you don't cut them down, you just have the machine and it'll typically pull the stumps, everything out.
see, I don't want them to pull them out though, that's the thing. I want them
Oh,
to run,
okay.
because if they pull them out, they're
It
gonna take
disturbs the
everything
soil
with
too
it.
much.
Yeah, it's gonna
Okay.
make a big old mess. One of the things that when I looked at where the privet are relative to the way I drew this, I will probably, instead of going this way, I'd probably go this way because that's where the privets are and it's already gonna be cleaned off.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a mirror image of what's here, but
I'll
anyway,
get you.
he thought our plan would work, easy, just with a couple other things to cut out. The other thing, on October the 9th, we had a big volunteer day in Marvin Park. And I've talked to those guys about maybe being part of the pocket park when we finally get that thing rolling. So I'm hoping, and that's the IB program at the high school.
Yeah.
We had 24 kids show up
Oh, wow.
for
That's
3
good.
hours. We sort of ran out of things to do. We were going to be there for 4, but it's cool. We
Yeah.
got everything done. And they actually, we had 3 teams going because Paige and my husband and I were out there as the somewhat adults of it. And we got an amazing amount of work done. There was a little bit of looking on your phone, but you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so hopefully I can line them up for some pocket park work because they're looking for more work. Gotta love that, right?
Yeah.
So we're ready to go. Whenever you guys are. Now's a good time.
Okay, next items are new business items. And the first item is discussion of 2021 tree lighting ceremony.
Do we have a date yet?
And, yeah,
We always have a date.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Second Saturday of
Second.
December.
Saturday, December 11th, I believe, something like that.
I'm looking. Yep.
Yeah.
So, it's actually loosely coming together, okay, for getting started a little bit late with, National Night Out being pushed back, kind of messed me up. But, so the request, if you all remember, was to do the parade again, where we drive Santa around. And
We got a new Santa, right?
yes, we have a new Santa. And then have
Is he in this
that,
room?
have that
Sounds
roll
council.
from here
Oh, I
to
know
the
who it is
park.
then.
So we'll start here at 3, make our loop, and then roll Santa into the park. And
Is it just, because I've never been a part of that, is it just Santa? Or is it, are there
well,
other
it's
things?
like fire trucks, a fire truck, a couple deputies,
Cool.
and then Santa in a convertible.
You say it would begin at 3?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have the ice sculpture lined up. I've got the dog kissing booth lined up.
Excuse me.
Were you not there for that? Oh, okay.
I've only been to one of these and I don't remember kissing a dog.
Well, you get to.
I probably have to pay to do it, right?
I've got a singer lined up to be part of the lineup. She's like they've just made a CD,
Mhm.
local
Cool.
celebrity of sorts. I'm still waiting to hear back on the coffee truck. I really don't want to have staff do that.
Yeah. That's
Had a really good price on the coffee truck last year. I don't know if these guys went out of business or what, but I'm hoping to hear back from them on that. And then we've got the established relationship with Publix for cookies. So we'll just get those from there. And then I just need to really fill in a couple performances. I had a loose schedule somewhere. but-
I did connect with, there is a new
Now we're to the choir.
choir director.
Mhm.
So I had to kind of track her info down, but I did communicate and there is an interest there,
Okay.
definitely. So we've already responded back and forth via email.
Probably need to know that. pretty soon. I
Yeah,
mean, it
I
can be a
can,
plug and play type of deal. I made a, like a skeleton of a schedule.
yeah.
Um,
I have not spoken to the middle school choir teacher yet. And I've been back and forth, trying to connect with the band.
okay.
Because I didn't previously have any band connections.
At the
but
high
I've
school?
got- But
And
I've
they've
got,
got several versions of their band too. Like they got a jazz band and
yeah.
the big,
I think this was a subsection
Yeah.
of the regular band that they put together to kind of do some of these
Mhm.
holiday things.
that'd be perfect.
So I've played email tag with the band guy, so I expect to try to reconnect with him this week.
Okay.
Keith is his name that I was given.
Okay. If you can just, keep me updated.
I'll stay
or
with you on that.
Copy me on the, I got that schedule. Let me grab it off the turn.
That would be cool to get them all involved. I've only been to one of these and I think we must have missed the entertainment part and certainly missed the dog kissing part.
I know we're pushing hard for Marvin Day, rightfully so, but
Yeah, but
we
we still
gotta-
need to do
yeah.
this.
jump ship or pull double duty here. So,
Well, and we're at November 2nd, so within probably the next 2 weeks, we need to start having the school through whatever things we gotta jump through for them to promote it within the elementary schools, because
Yeah.
that's always the best way
yeah.
to get some promotion there.
Yeah, so if you see there at the bottom, I listed kind of slots for 4 different performances,
Okay,
on like
like
15
15
minutes.
minutes each.
And I'm thinking musical performances.
Yeah,
And they don't take the whole time, they might sing like two songs.
yeah,
And
2 or
then-
3 songs will be
Yeah,
10,
and then
15 minutes.
there's a few minute break.
And we could have
Yeah.
are we gonna have our sound system?
I'm probably
And then
trying
we
to
could just play the music in between?
Well, I'm probably trying to borrow one, and have a performer bring their own sound system for
Is
us
ours
to use.
still not work? Is ours?
I don't know. I'm not real familiar with it, to be honest. I have to ask you every time
Oh,
how to use it.
okay.
So I feel like we only get it out like once a year,
Yeah.
and that's not.
Yeah.
If somebody else can come
Yeah,
and
we
set
were
up,
missing some chords last
Yeah,
year too,
yeah.
I remember. Do we keep that at the barn or do we keep it
I think
here?
it's at the church.
At the
It's in
church,
the-
okay.
Yeah. And
Um,
so this is my kind of loose schedule. Since you don't know what the dog kissing booth is, those are kind of on the patio,
yeah.
where people are mingling and they can just go to it, and it's a photo opportunity.
Yeah.
It's a frame with a dog, and then
Oh, it's
you,
not a real dog.
you lean in
I
and
was expecting some.
oh, it's a real dog,
Oh,
but you
oh.
don't have to kiss it. It's just for fun. You can if you want to. But
Have you ever had part of the band, the high school band, like as part of the parade?
not as the parade.
It's
we only
mobile.
did the parade
It's what?
last year.
The parade is mobile.
Oh yeah. It's a reverse parade. We go around to the people.
I don't understand. I'm sorry.
So they drive
Well, I
through
guess-
the neighborhoods.
Yeah, we take
It-
Santa.
It's just a driving parade.
Oh, so not
Kind
a
of like a
walking.
COVID parade.
Yeah,
Parade,
it is
okay.
the COVID parade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We drive Santa around in a convertible.
So all the neighborhood.
Let him
Yeah.
wave,
Okay, that's weird but funny. Okay.
throw out.
Yeah.
You could put a band on the back of a trailer and haul them around. I've seen that done.
Yeah.
Actually, in the back of a pickup truck. That's a different kind of band, probably. Okay.
I just thought of insurance when you said that.
Yeah,
Well,
I did.
no, I've seen, and it may have been a COVID thing that people would just get in, on a trailer or on the back of the truck and just play music and go through neighborhoods just to give people, entertainment.
Dan, anything from you on Christmas? Holiday tree lighting?
Nope, sounds good.
Okay. Next item is discussion of barn rental policies.
Okay. This might take some time, but I'll try to keep it short. What I'm looking for is just your feedback here, your thoughts and concerns. And just because you guys have been so invested in everything that goes on at the barn or at the park. So when I started, we had one person who used the barn with their professional pass. Now there's other people at the park, you know, photographers, dog trainers, cross-country trail running groups. But that, when I started, we had one person, and she used it 1 to 3 hours a week. I now am lightly scheduling the barn for over 25 hours of professional pass use a week.
How much does the professional pass cost?
Professional pass costs $250 a year.
Okay.
Yep. So I took one person who is great to work with, completely flexible. She's out there 3 hours a week. And I did the math, and she's paying $1.60 an hour
Yeah.
to use the barn. Now, she's not renting the barn. She's simply using the barn when it's available.
What type of purpose is that? Photography or?
It's-
Yoga. Is that the yoga lady?
Hers is an exercise class.
Okay.
Yeah, a majority of them are an exercise class. So I saw this coming, right? I knew that there was going to be a day where somebody was going to want to come and do the same thing, and they were going to say, well, why do they get to be there at 9 a.m. on every Tuesday, Thursday? I want that slot,
Yeah,
you know? And then I
it
have
is
to make it.
inevitable.
Yeah, I have to make a choice, right? Do I say, well, you're gonna have to rent it, or do we go to first come, first serve and have, you know, 3 groups of 25 exercise people showing up at the same time fighting for the barn? Most everybody I work with has been very simple and easy to work with. There's no issues. But as we've grown, as the area has grown, as the word has gotten out, it's becoming more and more popular. So now I have another lady who wants to literally start a business and use the barn. And she's willing to rent it, right? So she's paying $37.50 an hour. Now I have another group who wants to rent it 4 hours, 4 days a week, 2 hours every day for their winter. It's a school group for their winter training. They need a covered facility. They do rowing, you know, so they're on the lake 9 months of the year. They're willing to pay $600 to $800 a month just to secure the facility.
Are they part of the school?
Not our school,
Oh, okay.
just a
So-
school age group.
Okay.
So is
okay.
your concern more that these ones that are coming in and actually wanting to do the barn rentals will start to kind of impede, who are paying good money, will start to impede on the professional people that have gotten professional passes, aren't necessarily given the barn, but that's what they've traditionally done.
My concern is multifaceted, okay? One, it is a logistical nightmare for me to manage. I mean, if you look at my calendar, everything in pink is
Barns.
for professional pass use.
Yeah.
That I'm, you know, constantly working, managing.
Yeah.
You know, if a rental pops up, then I have to tell them, hey, you guys have to move. You can't use the barn today. So that's one of my concerns is I need less management of that. But another concern is that somebody is getting to use the barn for
Virtually
you know,
nothing.
Virtually nothing.
Yeah.
You know, quote unquote, taking advantage of the system.
Yeah.
And then how do we balance the fairness for somebody who may want to get a time slot or use the barn at the same time that somebody else is already using it, you know, on the same system. My thinking is that we need to come up with a tiered rental system where on these non-peak hours, we instead of doing the professional pass, or in addition to the professional pass, that they pay an hourly rental fee.
Which might be a discounted rate because
Sure.
they're already paying for the professional pass,
Yeah.
but
But they're getting guaranteed barn spot.
yeah,
Um,
to get a barn reservation within your professional pass.
Yeah.
Reservation is a really good word to use there too. Because if let's say the barn's empty right now, I can go over there and do whatever I want within
Exactly.
reason, right?
yeah.
But that's just I
But
got lucky.
But for you to, you know, take the logistical time to get 25 people together
Yeah.
and charge them and say,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
we're having a class at 9 a.m.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
can't show
I want a
up and
reservation.
then, yeah, you gotta have a reservation.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course.
You know, so
Unless you can move to the
So,
barn.
so would
Just
this
wanted
be
to-
solved simply with like a barn reservation fee for people with professional passes?
it would, with the understanding that we are gonna take away time slots for other barn rentals.
Mm-hmm.
And so go ahead, Dan.
I was gonna say, so like the professional pass is just happens to include the barn because they use a lot of the site.
The professional pass, just to understand what that is the ability for somebody to use the park in general without reserving anything for professional purposes that they make money on.
Yeah.
But let me ask a question then, because I've been in the.
Well, let Dan go. So yeah, I
I thought
just
you were
wanted to
done.
define
What if we
that.
just made the barn rental thing a thing?
Separate.
If, I don't know, you know, to make it simple, and I don't know if this helps or not, but if there was just like an online calendar where you could see, you know, I'm thinking about having it like on the barn itself, but I don't know how you do that easily in a non-managed way. You don't have to manage it, but so where people could see when it's rented and when it's not, and they can rent it or not rent it. But if it's rented, you know, they can't use it. Just make that its own thing, separate from everything else. You just have to, if it happens to be rented at the time, you can't use it. And if you want to make sure you can use it, you have to rent it.
Aren't you working on it on your online system?
Well, I am working on, you know, online calendar reservation, but I want to limit traffic and conflict at the park, and I don't want, like I said, I don't want 3 different groups to show up at the park and say, oh, well, we're going to have an exercise workout class at 9 a.m. on Tuesday, and then you got people fighting over the barn.
That's
if you
what I
were-
mean. They have to rent it to get it, or else they don't get it. The people that rented it got it.
Well, you asked, they look online and see that it's not rented, then they can go use it.
No, but they've got to put their name in.
Well, but then legally I
Oh,
can't.
you're saying? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Legally, I can't say you can't use the barn right now because it's not rented, because it's open
Right.
to the public.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Why not restrict barn usage that if you're using it for a commercial purpose, you have to rent it? That would literally still allow people who want to use it casually to use it casually.
Well,
That
and that's
means
where
then-
I was
then we
going
have
with a
to police
barn
it.
reservation.
Yeah,
Like for it to be used for a for-profit activity,
there's your, yeah,
that it requires
Yeah,
a
that's
barn
right.
reservation.
yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which I agree.
Mm-hmm.
How do we make that affordable for them and still, you know, make sure we're getting compensated?
For what needs to be done.
Yeah, because like, I mean, some of these classes are like for nonprofit or for
Yeah.
seniors, you know, and they're charging $5 a head.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I want to keep it affordable. I want to hit that right price point to where
Some of them are doing it just to cover the cost of their professional pass.
yeah. I don't want to run their business off. But I mean, a photographer, you know, they're not even renting the barn. You know, they're paying $250 a year and they're charging $175 a 30-minute session.
Yeah, they're getting their money back.
So yeah.
You can
I
establish.
think if you charge them anything, the goal is to fix the problem for you. My goal, I guess, would be to fix the problem for managing it as opposed to making a lot of money off of it. So if we could figure out the way, I think what you identified is, if you're going to use it for any kind of paid purpose, you have to reserve it.
Yeah.
And even if you make that cheap, I think we're probably trying to fix the management piece more than we're trying to get money, if I'm thinking about that correctly.
Correct. And so, in all agreement, let's roll it one step further. And my thoughts are that I limit the professional pass 1 hour reservations to the non-peak hours, because I don't want to miss out on a 4-hour birthday party rental on a Saturday because I have sporadic 1 hour rentals in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, somebody picks it up for 10 o'clock on a Saturday and there could have been a
Yeah.
birthday party.
An 8 to 12.
Yeah,
Yeah.
One quick
that'd be
thing.
horrible.
Any
You'd be
new
surprised.
fees that you guys want to establish needs to be approved by council in their fee schedule. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is the place to start, right?
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
This is the place to start, and we could roll it out for January 1st, 2022. Or
Yeah,
something.
and that's around the corner. I like the idea of a reservation and that it costs some money.
Here's
not
what
$1.60.
was, here's a suggestion I got from one user. Is Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, $10 an hour. 5 to 8, $20 an hour. Friday through Sunday, $25 an hour. And this would not just be professional pass use. That price would be for, well, it could or it could not be.
We've got
for-
our regular schedule for the barn rental though,
Right.
that we don't wanna blur the lines on there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, so I'm thinking we just go to a straight, consistent price, right? If you want it for
Yeah,
a Bible study on Thursday morning for 2 hours, it's $10 an hour.
Yeah,
If you want it for a birthday party on Saturday for 4 hours, it's $25 an hour. You know, and no matter what your rental is, you,
oh, so you're saying forget about professional, nonprofit, that doesn't matter. If you're renting the barn,
possibly, yes.
no, I mean, it is an
Yeah.
option. Yeah, if
Yeah.
you're renting the barn, this is how much it costs.
Yeah.
and,
Because I mean, if,
so you're talking about getting rid of the established barn fees?
yeah, potentially. I'm literally throwing out all
No,
options.
you should, that's,
Because I'm
What
thinking,
uses cause problems right now?
do what?
Like,
are there uses that
what
cause
uses, are there any
problems?
uses that kind of cause issues for general public use of the park? I think one thing I've noticed, and it's not a problem, but there will be, birthday parties that are a lot of people for the barn rental, and then it kind of eats up the ability to use a section of the park for everybody else at some point in time, which is not an issue, really. Just it's something you notice when you're out there, because there's 80 people around the barn, and so that's a lot of people taking over the playground and all that stuff, which is fine.
Well,
But any uses that you find that are causing problems, like that are professional, that just like kids can't use the playground because there's too loud of music, or there's problems with the barn, or anything like that.
There's no professional pass use that causes a direct problem at the park. The biggest thing is speeders. And part of that is our design. We built a giant straightaway down the middle of the park. And when you take Girls on the Run, are there 2:30 to 4 twice a week, when those parents are running late for their drop off, which is at the back of the park. That's an issue, but the traffic of the kids themselves is not a problem. Speeding is the biggest issue I have. Speeding and
Yeah.
a little bit of overcrowding.
Thinking about that food truck.
So we also have the pavilion now
Mm-hmm.
down.
Yeah.
Do you schedule the pavilion in a similar way? And could part of it just be us directing some of these groups to take more advantage of the pavilion than just the barn?
I do when it makes sense. The limitations are the size and the fact that
Way far
it's-
from the bathrooms.
it's open.
and other-
it's
yeah.
open. Like they don't. have
So
the
weather-wise
ability-
could be
yeah,
an issue.
Yeah.
Correct. So
Mhm.
really just curious. We're going to work on it in-house administratively and see what we come up with. But I wanted to open it up for.
Do we
your
have rental
opinions.
fees for the pavilion?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're in the fee schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, they're just like
They're like half the
scaled
barn.
back. Of,
Yeah, okay.
Aren't they like half of the barns or something like
Well,
that?
it's a little bit more than half, but it's
Yeah.
roughly 3/4.
Yeah.
So, but I just did the math. So let's take that same lady who I think cost her $1.60 an hour. If she was to pay $10 an hour, which she recommended as an option, we would make $15.60 a year on her rentals versus $250 for her professional pass. So
Because
that's
she's in there 3 hours a week.
yeah, that's 6 times the profit.
So when they have a professional pass, they don't have to pay a rental fee at all for the barn?
Correct.
But they're not guaranteed.
They're
use
not
of the
guaranteed the rental or the usage, but
Yeah.
I mean, if
Mhm.
you request it at a non-peak hour,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get it.
barn.
So let me just confirm, she would still pay her $250 plus the $10 an hour? Or is it just the $10 an hour?
Well,
I mean, I guess that's.
Because I think you
Yeah.
still have to have professional passes available.
So maybe just limit that to professional passes, and you have your normal barn fees for those who don't have a professional pass.
it's an option. I can't decide if that would
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking
harder or
initially.
easier for us to rent.
'Cause
Like,
it-
if we create an online system,
You can establish that in an online system.
you can say like, I have a professional pass. Here's my code.
Yeah.
And you have-
There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
There is a way to do that. We had to work with you. We had to work with the software
Okay.
provider, but there's a way to work around that.
But one thing to be cognizant of, if you make the fee too low, it's worth getting a professional pass to do your kid's birthday party. Do you see what I'm saying? If you're not,
Yeah.
just do the math on both sides.
Yeah.
Because somebody's gonna, some accountant is gonna do the math. I mean, that's the first thing I would
Yeah.
do. Which is the cheapest way for me to get this,
4 hours of
Done.
barn.
Yeah.
Just when you
especially if I
well,
got
we
2 or
could
3
just-
kids.
well,
and I
Or
wanna
we
do-
can say there's no professional pass use on a Saturday. You know,
Absolutely.
that's reserved for
Do you-
our big birthday party.
Yeah.
do you use any? Is there any kind of? Do you guys check when someone gets a professional pass if they actually have a business they're using it for, or is it just pretty much I want a professional pass and you get it?
I mean, I don't have a reason to.
I'm not looking for a
check.
tax ID
Yeah, I
number.
reckon
Yeah.
probably.
Well, I'm just curious.
That's a good question.
I want their money. I want their 250.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
You know?
that's been a good source of income.
Yeah.
Is the professional passes.
All right, so I'm hearing professional pass
With a
fee with an hourly reservation fee,
specific to the barn
Just-
or
Monday through Thursday, opening to close.
So is Friday during the day really busy?
No,
Okay, so I just wondered why the Monday through Thursday thing
yeah.
instead of Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
I mean, I don't know. You would.
There are some weeknights where we get rentals. Friday nights are big for rentals.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Absolutely. So it almost seems like you could break this down into
Time frames.
to 2 instead of 1. Maybe not. See, so Monday through Friday,
Well, I'll
8 to
do-
5.
I almost think if you're breaking it into 2, you put Friday in with the weekend. Because you see that in a lot of places, whether it's,
Well, what I was thinking was Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 p is one price, and then 5 to 8, Monday through Sunday, and all day Saturday and Sunday is your other price. So you got 2 prices instead of 3. That's all.
All that would have to go on a fee schedule, by the way. So
Dan, I know it's hard remote, but any feedback from you?
No, I think the two prices is good. I think the split of the time sounds good generally. You know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday is one. However you want to break up the times, and then the other. I think this is a smart way. I think trying to fix the management problem is the key. And I definitely think having a professional pass for the whole park is one thing, and then a separate thing is the barn rental as its own attraction. So I think that's good. One question I was thinking of, but I don't even want to bring it up now, is do we limit how, I'm not sure if it would even be a problem, but I could see somebody renting the barn. I want I have a business and I want every Saturday morning for an hour, and now we can't rent, there's no ability for residents to use it as for birthday parties, if they rent it, that kind of thing. But I don't want to create problems that don't exist yet, and we can always deal with them as they pop up. So I think this is a good approach generally. One question I did have is, like soccer shops, when they use the field and stuff, do they pay any money?
They're paying a professional pass fee. And I'm glad you brought that up about
I know how much they charge, and I think they make a killing on that. So I don't know if it matters or not, but I know they're a pretty big user at times, and $250 for them for the year probably isn't very much money.
Yeah, I think the same rental structure could apply to them for reserved space use. If we're going to say,
I think that might be getting to something further. If we started to have more conflict about the fields, like we're having conflict about the barns.
well, we don't have conflict, but to Dan's point, they're in a sense tearing up the facility.
Yeah.
Like it costs us money to maintain it.
Yeah.
So
And they take over whenever they're there. Not as bad, if they're all nice people, but you lose soccer shops on a Saturday morning, and then the whole playground is eaten up by the soccer shop families from kind of all over the place, which is no problem.
well, that's
All
been
morning, and so
That's been an additional concern of mine. They doubled up their usage. They had 2 clinics going on at once, and I've told them they have to back it down to 1. But I've almost thought about just not having them back next year, just for what you just said. They kind of take over, invade, leave the place a mess. Because they're kind of like an outside group. They're not really Marvin residents. They don't seem to have the same vested interests in keeping the place looking as nice. They're just there for their soccer clinic. I've had a tremendous problem with their people coming in speeding. We've had issues in the past with them where they park. But I'm glad you brought up the recurring thing, because that has been a question that I was approached about recently too. And like I said, I've got the lady who wants to rent it 4 days a week for 3 months. Do we say to these professional pass users, can they rent it on a reoccurring basis? We have the online access, give them 3 months ahead of time, and they've got to.
That's equitable.
They got to go in and reserve their spot.
Yeah.
That's fair game at that point. If it's online, they can go in and just reserve what they want to use.
I think we just do it, see what happens, and see what problems there are, and then fix those. That's not fair to you, Derek, but we got to try something probably, and then see what works, and then that's it, be ready to adjust.
Mm-hmm.
I just put in here Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 is, I just picked $10 an hour because that's what you had.
Mm-hmm.
Then Monday through Friday, 5 to 8, and all day Saturday, all day Sunday, 8 to 8, whatever you call all day, is $20 an hour. Or you could say 25, whatever. But you go that's only for the barn, because the fields would be kind of the reverse almost, right? Because you're not going to use them in the middle of the night. After 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to change that. But that way you've only got 2 price points. to manage?
I haven't been involved much with your software, Derek. Do you know when Jamie is saying you're going to have that established?
Hopefully really soon. We've started the online meetings with the rep. I think they're like every Thursday.
Because she needs to
So
start,
she can figure it out and get it built, basically.
me and her need to start discussing, because I have to get our website builder involved. Because he'll have to link it all
To
through.
make a link, yeah.
So yeah, so we'll have to figure that out. But okay,
It's gonna get
it's fun.
dicey.
It's fun setting up all this software.
Well,
a lot.
This is something we're gonna make a recommendation that has to go to council anyway.
They'll establish the fees in their fee schedule. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But we're suggesting that a professional fee, you pay the professional fee and then you pay these hourly rates on top of it. And then if you're the general populace and you want to do a birthday party, those are separate fees.
That's just a
had
separate.
question.
That's just a barn rental.
That they're
Yeah, that's a
already
barn rental
established.
that's already
And you're not really
established.
having trouble with those, or are you?
Well, only in that they could conflict with some of these other things, yeah.
So those prices ought to be equitable.
But if you're talking about a birthday party or something like that, oftentimes you're looking at that calendar and it needs to be that day, but you know, here's the times that we have available for you, and either you do or you don't.
Should they be equitable, or should the 250
That's what I'm,
get you?
I think the
A slight
250
discount.
should get you a slight discount.
but that's what I'm saying is, so I don't know what the barn fees are. What, do you happen to know off the top of your
I
head?
think you can just let them, the 250 is not too much. I think you can just let them pay the regular fee, and if they don't want to rent it, they don't have to. I don't know. I see what you're saying, but it
Yeah,
can just be separate things maybe.
If you establish fees, if you get rid of the normal barn rental fees, are you going to affect your barn rental income?
I don't think so. It seems like we don't have a
If
problem
I get
getting
rid of them,
If you got rid of the current structure and just went to that hourly fee, are you going to affect the income that the barn brings in?
well, you'd be getting
'Cause you-
less per hour, but you
Yeah.
may get more overall.
So if I wanted to rent the barn right now on a Saturday for 4 hours, what's it gonna cost me?
Are you a Marvin resident?
Yes. Yes.
I think at its lowest on a Saturday is like $37.50 an hour.
Okay, so
It's like
again, if I buy the 250 pass and I'm gonna have 3 birthday parties throughout the year, it's cheaper for me to buy the 250 pass and pay $20 an hour, I think, off the top of my head. You see what I mean? And that's what I'm saying, it needs to be
Yeah,
equitable.
I don't know if people, like a personal family making a decision about a birthday party
Yeah.
is gonna
You
be
gotta-
that.
You got.
I ain't gonna analyze it that much.
Yeah, I
And I
Okay,
and I rain on everything.
I think that's not true, but I just don't, and it's not whether they do it or not, but somebody's gonna do the math and say, well, this is cheaper to do this. And the reason I know this is from Heritage Festival fees on booths. It's cheaper to go in as a sponsor and get a free booth than to actually purchase
Yeah.
a booth. And that's crazy. Why would you do that? So,
Well, you could limit the professional pass reservations to, an hour at a time. To where the birthday party, they need
Okay.
a big 4-hour block.
that's one way. And you could also say you gotta have a business to tie this to.
Yeah.
And it's not, your graphic design business doesn't make sense that you would need the barn, just to pick one
Yeah.
that I happen to know. So if you tied it back to an actual business, then that would solve that problem.
So as a framework, do we kind of agree that keep the professional passes, keep the current barn rental fees, but that we would institute an additional reservation fee on professional pass holders
Yeah.
in order to secure the barn?
I'm not
That
sure
might
you
be
made
2
it
rates at
easier
different
on me,
hours.
but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Well, think about
If they can
if
reserve
it,
it online.
I
yeah,
would suggest we simplify it and just make the barn rental a thing. And it is a fee that it has two different fees based on the time or day. And that way it's much, maybe, I don't know if that simplifies it or not, but I'm thinking simpler is better. But,
so you're saying,
yeah.
Dan, that if the public wanted to rent the barn, it would still be the same $10 or $20 or whatever we pick?
Yeah, whatever we pick, just make it the same for everybody, and that's fine. And the professional pass thing is like a separate thing.
That would be a lot easier.
because they want to use the rest of the park as well, the 250 for the folks. And the one thing I don't like, I think, is that somebody who's a photographer who has a pretty low impact on the facility, and maybe that's not fair, maybe that's not true all the time, but comparatively to like somebody like Soccer Shop paying the same amount, but, you know, using it at peak times and kind of taking over the park at peak times, that one, that's probably where I would say maybe we'd want to think about some different things, because the Soccer Shop folks clearly have a big impact on the area, but don't hardly pay anything.
So if you're a photographer, you're just paying that $250. You're not going to rent the barn. So you're just going to pay the $250 a year and take pictures in wherever you take them, right?
Yeah.
It might be in the barn, but probably not. It's probably in a garden. So for them, they're not paying as much, but again, to his point, they're not making a mess. Well, mostly.
If you have further thoughts, send them to me.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have to tinker with it.
Because this is saying, that, I mean, if we do the $20 an hour for everybody, that's half the price you're charging now on a peak
On a peak.
for the public,
Yeah.
a Marvin resident.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we
But
don't want
Let's
to do that.
make it, let's up it then.
Do what?
He's
Let's
saying
just make
that
it what people pay now per hour.
plus
For
the
the
public.
peak time.
I'm afraid I'll run them off.
Do you have a lot of ProPass people using it during peak time though?
No.
Okay, I think that's kind of what his point is.
Oh.
So you could do a $10 and $40 an hour kind of thing. You see what I'm saying? Instead of, so make it
For the
really
reservations.
Mm-hmm. Because if you're ProPass
$10
people,
Weekdays
non-peak,
low,
40 hours
weekends
peak.
high.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
would make sense.
and then,
Weekdays are low, weekends are high,
Yeah.
well, and at night,
and weeknights are high, or weeknights are
I
high.
might have to put in an exception for Marsh.
Yeah. Right.
Or I'm going to start charging for back presentations.
Okay.
It's great to see that people are really taking advantage of the park, I mean, and using it a lot. I think this is nice in the end, a problem to have.
I
Yeah,
agree.
it's just trying to figure out how to manage it all best
Yeah.
and not kill our staff. Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
I know Derek does.
Okay, item number 3 under new business is discussion of 2022 events. So I guess we've got Marvin Day on there.
Yeah, just give me a
Cleanup,
idea of what.
community cleanup.
No, not those events.
This
Oh,
is next
okay.
year.
The park events, like, which ones do we wanna,
Well,
go
National
back?
Night Out with pencil in.
Yeah.
That's,
I wanted to
typically in
throw
August.
together a calendar, but, so we've done, in the past, we've done an egg hunt, a movie night, National Night Out, and tree lighting. We have Marvin Day. I think Marvin Day.
How close is
our-
Easter to Marvin Day?
I think Marvin Day should be our spring event,
Yeah,
as much time as it's gonna consume.
I agree.
yeah.
We can move National Night Out back to August and include a movie in it, and then
Oh.
and then we have our tree lighting.
That's an idea.
So we got 3 warm weather events:
I think we did talk about,
spring, summer,
did we
winter.
Did we talk about something back more for the fall again?
We did talk about a fall. I think we had said like a chili
Chili
cook-off
cook-off or
a
something like
a
that?
wine and cheese
Yeah.
music night. I mean, we can definitely revisit that if y'all have ideas. Or are you
Assuming
okay?
National Night Out is in the summer.
I think we have to stick with it. I mean, barring a bigger hurricane.
Don't jinx it now.
um,
The state will have. We'll get it.
I was just very disappointed with the.
Turnout.
I think,
turnout.
I remember back to when Sandy Ridge or the schools in general used to have kind of a fall event. And it used to be kind of a combination of a chili cook-off where residents all came, made chili, blah, blah, blah. But they also invited a number of local restaurants and stuff like that that had things that they could do. Lorenzo's used to come, the Meat House used to come, they'd have a grill. So you could also buy some food and just highlight local highlight, local eateries and stuff like that, that they would pay for their booth to some degree, and then the chili cook-off thing was going on as well at the same time. So I mean, if we were to do a fall event, maybe something similar to that with just some music going on as well.
And we could even do like a cleanup in the morning kind of thing. The chili cook-off in the afternoon would be
Coordinate that
different.
with a
Yeah.
cleanup
And just
day.
like have a big
Yeah.
thing of it. I don't know.
The fall.
Yeah, in the fall.
Yeah.
Have you been to McClancy's chili cook-off before? Out on 521?
No.
Oh,
no.
it's huge.
Yeah,
Huge.
I've seen it a couple
Yeah,
of times going
yeah.
by. But, thinking maybe to keep it off of National Night Out, maybe October, middle of October timeframe.
Yeah, and if you got people involved in like different neighborhoods, kind of started competing with each other about their chili, so anything like
Yeah.
that kind of got them to meet each other and involved with each other and all that, that could be interesting. And people can be really competitive in it, and where food is involved, we can't lose.
All right, Easter is April 17th.
Oh, then it's right on top of that.
We could,
What you talking about?
I'm just saying, we could.
Oh, April 17th,
We
not May.
could do an Easter, we could do an egg hunt event and be,
You're about a month
You're
off.
about a month from the.
I would just say
5
for
or
the
6 weeks.
I would say for the first year of Marvin Day, I would not, that needs to be spring. It's just, this is gonna be a lot more
Yeah,
work
I
than
think
anybody
that's-
thinks it is.
Yeah. I think we keep spring clean and maybe
Spring
try
clean.
All right,
to
we'll leave,
try to
we'll
do
leave fall
something.
as a question mark.
Yeah, I like that idea if we're not exhausted by then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was wondering. I'll put them on a calendar and,
I like that though, to have seasonal like that.
yeah. Well, so, just so you know, National Night Out is always the first Tuesday in August.
So
Yeah.
what's that this time?
Um,
I mean, 2022.
Ooh, August 2nd.
Ha! Happy birthday to me.
And tree lighting is always the second Saturday in December, so it's the 10th.
Cool. Okay.
And then you have May, what is it, May 21st?
Yep.
Well, so if y'all wanna, sprinkle in your cleanup days or community garden workshop or something, there's plenty of opportunity for some smaller things that don't require too much from staff rather.
Yeah, I'll probably do a late winter mulching event like we did last year. That worked out so well.
Here's your tagline, come get your mulch on.
Yeah, get your mulch on.
All right,
Move this mulch.
I'm done, thank you.
Move that mulch.
All right, item number 4, which was added, is under new business items, is discussion of the trail system.
Let me get Hunter. Hey Hunter.
What?
I'll go get him. You want
What was that?
to talk about the trails and funding?
Discussion of trails.
Getting a long meeting here.
And Christina went to the restroom, so.
Calling for snow in the mountains this weekend. So they're calling for snow in the mountains this weekend.
That's crazy. I saw that.
I mean, it's about that time.
What? November?
Oh, it snowed in Boone my first 3 years up there, it snowed anywhere from 8 inches to a foot every Halloween. Like the week before Halloween. So we want to get there first.
Okay, you're good.
All right, discussion of the trail system under new business.
This is Dan. I kind of asked for this to be added, and I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on it today. I know we're about done, but generally I was wondering, should we be having like a some kind of planning session, maybe, and I think it can be as short as in our board meetings, but I think it'd be good to have more of a strategy, and maybe there is one and I'm not aware of it, on how to fund our plan and what targets we have for funding, both, through our tax base that we already have and the allocation of money, which I know already happens with the council and everything, but also outside funding.
Talking
And,
specifically about the trails system.
Yeah, for implementing our master plan, essentially.
So like what grants we're trying to go at and stuff like that.
Yeah, and if we set up we have this great master plan that folks before I was here came up with, which that's what you need to be able to seek funding to implement it. Once you've got that in place, that's kind of one of the, I want to say the hard part, but that is the difficult part, that once we overcome that hurdle and we have that, we have the opportunity to plan out what funding is available, how we go after it, and what dollars we use to match the funds to kind of execute the plan. And come up with priority things. Like, one of the priorities I would think might be making crossings for some of the places we have trails now of major roads safer for people. Like we had, unfortunately, some pretty unfortunate incident in the past, but we haven't addressed any kind of safety for the crossings where that happened. So I don't want to delve into this too far today. I don't think we need to. I just want to kind of bring it up there. I feel like we don't have and maybe I'm not aware, but we have a plan to get funding to implement our master plan.
Derek, do we have a capital? You're good. Do we have like a CIP or some type of project, for the trail systems for funding? Because with me only being here for a couple months,
I know we have had one.
Okay.
Where
We have a
we had
CIP.
specific priorities laid out.
Yeah, 'cause
what the
council-
expected costs would
because I'm
be.
sure, they allocate a certain amount of funds each year
I'll
depending
pull up
on
the CIP.
those. So that's where that's going to come in from that. One thing I'll mention, we did obviously. I hope
We have
you
a
guys.
separate fund for it.
We do, okay.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys are aware, the Marvin Loop grant, we received a grant for that to complete the Marvin Loop. That's actually one thing I'll kind of hit on real quick, is that originally, because that is tied through, once again, DOT funding, it got pushed back to fiscal year 25. However, they came and said that we could potentially get started as soon as this year. Council decided to go ahead and move forward. I've been in contact with CRTPO to make sure that the funding is there to start the preliminary engineering and environmental phase within probably the next year from now. So that's one thing that will kind of actually get started and actually create a lot of our trail system / what's on our master plan, is to create that connectivity, especially through this whole area between Marvin Road, Newtown Road, and Marvin School Road. The other options are out there is I don't think there's really going to be any potential opportunities for part of grant here, because part of it's more tying into larger projects. There could be maybe some smaller funding for that, but it's all based off a point and rating system, and a lot of that's the amount of amenity / facilities that's one of those points. And if you're only providing one for Greenway, I don't know, that's an option that we can look at. I do know of other sources out there, like Carolina Thread Trail, there's a few others, but I'm not sure if the village has worked with them in the past. I know.
Yeah, we have done some in the past. I'll have to go back through some of my notes, because we were very close to getting one for the Chimneys Trail at one point.
To connect through
Yeah.
Yeah, when I interned in the city of Conover back in 2016, we received funding for the Carolina Thread Trail through Carolina Thread Trail for a 1.5 mile greenway that followed existing sewer easement. So I can kind of go back to, because I was part of that process in the latter part, but definitely I remember having a lot of that information because I was, trying to learn as much as I can. So I mean, I know that that's one thing that's out there. I know one of their stipulations is like they don't like to eminent domain or where we try to acquire property through the right-of-way acquisition process.
Well, and we've never.
So especially, for example, Belgrove, I know we were talking about that earlier. Since the easement's already there, we wouldn't have to be acquiring property. So if there's opportunities like that where we have the easements already secured and maybe can create connectivity through that, I wouldn't see why it wouldn't be a good idea not to try looking into that for pursuing option. Because I mean,
And that's one of the biggest things that these grants, the people giving these, is the interconnectivity, because they want to make sure that what they're investing in there isn't what somebody said before, a path to nowhere.
Yep. And Dan mentioned it perfect. Is anytime you're applying for any type of grant funding in these projects, is if you have a master plan of some sort, that's points, because it's showing that one, you've thought through some of this, it's showing some prioritization, it's showing some dedication to seeking funding for the project. So that's a big step, as well as any other plans that we have adopted are huge. So I mean, even in our land use plan, the survey, which is adopted within our land use plan, it talks about greenway and connectivity was, I think, 75% plus on the residents that responded wanted it. So all of that stuff helps your grant application process. I would just have to, I can look into potential funding avenues. Another thing that I've seen that's not, I mean, this isn't uncommon at all. I just you got to get people to fundraise. Is that going to? I mean, if it's like Publix or somewhat like a large organization that has some type of tie into the community, and seeing if they would potentially sponsor or get or donate money, and you dedicate a trail or something to them. I mean, there's options out there for stuff like that. But I don't. Outside of what I've already mentioned, I can't think of any specifically, but it's something that we can definitely look into.
We do have greenways in our CIP.
Okay.
We have different lengths proposed in different years, and they change every year.
Yeah, Dan, can you send that to Dan?
It's on our website.
Okay.
It's on the website under the finance page. You can look up our CIP that was adopted this past spring. It's on the website.
I don't suggest that we have to get into everything today or anything, but I feel like since we have this great master plan and we've gotten some success already with one of the Marvin Loop funding.
Yeah.
I think if we could come up with a process where we are, doing some real planning on what are our key priorities and how do we get them funded. I think the opportunities are there to fund pieces of the master plan over time. So I'm thinking over the next 5 years, if we kind of go about this in an organized way to try and supplement our CIP funding with outside sources, and we know what our priorities are, and we know what the opportunities are, we can, in a pretty organized way, tackle some of them over the next 5 years to bring in some more funding to get more done. And so that's kind of what I want. That's my goal with bringing this up, is that I feel like if I don't know about it and I'm on this board, maybe it's happening, but if we don't know about it, I feel like I should know about it, and it's probably my fault for not paying attention enough, but I think that's one of our opportunities that we have because all the groundwork has been done in the past.
I agree, Dan, and one thing that I think when we were coming up with the master plan, one of the early drafts had some targeted grants that we would be able to go to that I'm not sure made it into the final master plan or not, but we should be able to go back and identify from those earlier drafts. I know I could what some of those grants were that we were kind of chasing in prior years.
The other thing too, and I think I mentioned this a meeting or two ago when we were talking about the roundabout and pedestrian facilities, is that in my previous job, and I don't know if it's like I said, all this was tied into a lot before COVID. But if you had an adopted plan like we do, and we had any type of pedestrian facilities along like a DOT road, and they came in and were either widening it or improving it in some sort of way, was one of the things that came out was that DOT had to put all of those improvements in. But I don't know if that was for my specific area or what. But that's another thing that I would say is a opportunity or potential there, is that with some of our projects, I mean, Marvin Loop is really, I think, the only one off the top of my head, because at Newtown, Marvin School Road and Marvin Road are all DOT roads. But if there's any type of projects that we have sidewalk or trail connectivity along DOT roads, or that we have an opportunity to connect trails to some type of existing sidewalk, that's something that definitely we should be in coordination with DOT if we know of any type of improvements along DOT roads, because they might put all of it in. They
Like
might
Waxhaw Marvin Road where Belle Grove is.
Yeah.
Or something like
Correct,
that.
because we have, and on our plan, I think there is for a proposed path or trail
Correct.
or sidewalk. So if they ever come through there and widen in it, or put curb and to do some type of modernization
We
project,
can say, hey,
we have this
in our
approved
thing,
plan.
so you have to account for that.
yeah,
Gotcha.
So we don't want to miss any opportunities. is what I'm
Correct.
hearing. And I think Dan has brought something similar to this up. Anytime there's work being done, is that a good time to go ahead and finish?
well, like I said, I got to get some clarification, because the way, and I don't know if it's based off how the CRTPO operates versus my previous organization and being a smaller, but you receive those metropolitan planning organizations for transportation were created to take the federal funding and work with DOT to prioritize projects and funding for road improvements and so on. With that being said, I do not know if, because this area that we fall under in CRTPO, if the funding's scarce, there's a lot more projects that are available, so the funding's not as widely available for maybe stuff like that. So, like I said, because in the previous one, and when I was working with a few of my municipalities, it was like they had a thing where DOT was changing their policy, as in if you had a master plan or a plan adopted before July of 2021, then DOT has to take any of those recommendations or improvements into any type of projects over the next couple of years, and they had to put it in. So all the municipalities I worked for, we literally were updating our land use plan or sometimes doing a Parks and Rec master plan just to put recommendations on there, because it might happen, it might not be. You might as well have that plan in place. And so we've got a plan in place, but I don't know if the funding's available as it was there. But that's something definitely that we can look into. And once again, as these projects, the roundabout and stuff, that's an opportunity to once again see if they can put it in. If not, then definitely they need to be aware of what our plan is, and they should be looking at that anyway. That should be in coordination with us regardless. But
well, another thing I guess too is if we have a regular planning portion of our meetings, or however we want to do it, it doesn't even have to be big projects. I think maybe this is a big project, but I'm thinking of the crossing to get to the Marvin Loop from different communities. It'd be nice to have some traffic calming or safety around those. So that's an individual project. Or I think that there was a really interesting project mentioned before. I think Derek mentioned it, which would be exercise stations along the Marvin Loop.
mm-hmm.
And those are ones that public could fund or something. So it doesn't even have to be big stuff. If we had ideas that come up for things that folks would like to see to enhance the trails we've got, as well as larger things, if we have that list of everything and we're talking about it, there's opportunities that are big and small. And there's there's park funding from the state that the Catawba River Keeper folks pointed us to. So there's different opportunities. Anyway, I think if we just had more, I think I'm not seeing the planning that we're doing, and I wonder if we should be doing it on this board as part of our work in maybe a more organized way.
As far as crosswalks go, that's something that we've been in discussion with various neighborhoods over, and it just has not gone anywhere because they have to be a funding partner.
Yeah, I was going to mention that, is that what's tough about that, especially when you were talking about Marvin Loop, is all 3 of those roads are DOT. One, we have to get approval from DOT to do that, and they you know, their engineers are going to come in saying where we can do that, where the safety is, and stuff like that. But then the issue runs into, and I'm running into this right here with the crosswalk on Marvin School Road from the gates, between the gates and Marvin Creek. That one's not really that safe. There's no visibility. I mean, there's a lot of stuff there, but DOT basically told the gates that the village or the development could pay for some type of traffic calming device to be put in. And I'm sitting here thinking, this is a liability on DOT if they're not creating these safety measures. Why is that the case? And once again, this is where I'm confused, because based on my previous area, DOT, you would make that call, and if there was a safety type concern, for the most part, they would maybe ask for some type of cost share measure, but that a lot of that stuff was implemented pretty quickly and easily on a safety thing. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's, like I said, the funding overall in this area, or if it's COVID related and their lack of funding at this point, but that is kind of a tricky thing, and we can get them in there, but then it's how much money do we spend, and as Austin just mentioned, it's like, how much is the village going to spend, or can we work with the neighborhoods to get these traffic calming implementations in, but then we still have to get approval from DOT for one, encroachment on any type of signage, or if it's a potential like stoplight for potential crossing, something. We have to work with DOT on that, as well as how the crosswalk's designed and where it goes.
And we have a traffic calming policy that allows neighborhood HOAs to formally request the village install some of these devices. But yes, we still have to go through that process that Hunter's talking about with DOT. And frankly, dealing with DOT period is just frustrating.
Yep.
How do we find
No,
out
I
if,
understand. So I don't know if what I'm asking for is helpful, but I just feel like we have the real opportunity, and but I think it requires at least from our board's perspective, some engagement.
Some attention.
Yeah, and you're speaking, Dan, about not just things along DOT roads, but any of our, proposed greenways on the master plan.
just an
Yeah,
update?
we have a great master plan, and it's going to take a lot of work to implement it, and I think it's going to take a lot of organization and bringing in external money and doing that in an organized way.
I will say, Dan, that in the past, when we were very actively involved as a board, and I don't remember if
Probably before me.
It might have even been before Christina, is that, a lot of that was up to staff to do, because these are, pretty definitive application processes that that really only staff has the expertise to kind of do. So we would come up and we would find or hear of a potential grant that was being available, and 3-4 years ago, Hunter's correct, there were a lot more grants available within the state, within the county, stuff like that. And it was really us kind of becoming aware of those grants, and then kind of having to direct staff, you need to find out what we need for the application process, and then they'd kind of shepherd it through, keeping us updated. But I think you're correct and agree that when COVID started, we a lot of those sources of funding just totally dried up, so it hasn't been a priority for the past 2 years. I don't know to the degree to which any of those monies are opening back up again, but we do need to get back on that.
Just keep in mind that yes, staff can work on this sort of thing, but we have limited time and resources. So we do not have a grant writer on staff. Lord knows Hunter doesn't have the time to be involved with grants all the time.
The one thing that I was going to mention is, and compared to Western Piedmont Council governments and the Central Ina, my previous organization, we would write we had people that would write grants for the municipalities, and the way the contracts work is those municipalities
COG or something like that.
We would write the grants.
I think we used to involve them.
And so I don't know if Central Ina, I know they got a person that they do CDBG grants. I don't know if they have anybody specifically that does any type of Parks and Rec, but we had a specific Parks and Rec person, and she would help write the master plans and then the part of grants. And then pretty much if they got, and that's all free until basically the way it worked was if the municipality received a grant, then they would contract with a COG to administer the grant, and that's how we received certain funding to fund it. But you know, those are opportunities to look at to see if there's any. I mean, that's what a COG's for. I mean, they're regional council of governments that's supposed to provide support to those municipalities that pay into it. So that is an option to look into to see if there's a way for them.
And
to
then
help.
in some way, you're kind of outsourcing your grant writing.
Yeah, but you're not.
providing-
Yeah, but you're not having to spend either one current staff time
Correct.
or two spend additional funds to hire somebody or a consultant or something because that's what the COG's there for. So that is definitely an option to look into for sure. And then there was one other thing that I think somebody mentioned, but I can't recall now. But
I think this may already exist, but if we could stack up, the master plan list of priorities, which I think already exists in some form, and maybe we should have input on how that shakes out, which maybe we have before and I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Also lining up what the funding opportunities are. 'Cause a lot of them are on the annual cycle. And then if we could have maybe if we could talk to these COG folks or whatever those resources are and have them stick them on going to get us funds. I don't know. I just haven't seen where we're much engaged in that side of things right now. And we have this awesome plan, and I want to make sure we can do whatever we can to kind of further it going forward.
well, that's exactly what I was going to kind of mention was that the thing that we have to be cognizant of when we apply for grants is that the council has to approve. I mean, because especially if it's any type of match or reimbursement type grant. And so, looking at the CIP, and I want to say that probably coordinates directly with what was approved in the master plan on prioritization.
Yeah, it does.
yeah.
So with that being said, my recommendation would be if the board wants to, pursue just looking and seeing what's out there on grant opportunities and stuff, applying for a grant that matches up with the CIP, because then that fund, basically you'd be, if it's let's say a 50-50 match, well then if we had 80,000 in this to create this project in 2 years, well then we're saving 40,000 that we can then use somewhere else. I mean, that's the way I look at grants, is that even though it might not be for the project you want, you're saving money that you can then utilize for another project or to complete stuff. So, and with having that CIP in place, that fund, the goal is to each budget cycle to tie that funding to those specific projects. And so then it will be easier to get council's approval or kind of on board to approve the funding, just because it's not like they have to then pull the match from another place.
And the CIP is rewritten every year.
Yeah.
Not dated, so.
Yeah, and most of these grants require a certain amount, like the municipality will offer 25% or 50%. And I think the other thing that happened about 2 years ago, other than a lot of those grants drying up, is that there was a focus change from council on a lot of the CIP money and stuff like that going to the new town hall. Just in terms of a focus on, where we were going to be spending our monies over the next year or two. So I think that had some...
There was no money pulled out of Trails and Greenways for Village Hall.
No, but no money was pulled out. But in terms of being able to aggressively start to build the funds to do that, to follow the CIP and stuff like that, I think some of those things were scaled out and pushed back because of the realization that they were going to need more money focused on these other things. That's
Long term.
that's what I thought when those CIP plans were being developed.
And yeah, it could be, but I definitely, I do agree with that, and I think there's a great opportunity to have this great plan in place, and with having, a progressive Parks and Greenway board, or Parks and Greenway board, as well as even council, I think there's opportunities there. It just, the two things is, one, finding them, and then two, as also mentioned, kind of staff time and having that somebody having the time to, if it's going to be tax week, apply for the grant and so on, or at least, you know, trying to find maybe working with Central Ina or something to work on avenues there. But it's definitely something we can look further into, or that I can at least, just to get some more general information.
Okay, well, I apologize for taking up so much time on this piece.
No.
But, I appreciate the discussion.
All
And I think they can-
good.
I just am super impressed with the work that went into, I know it's a ton of work from my job, that went into getting the master plan together. And now that we have it, I think we can, there's opportunities to implement, so I'm excited about that.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Was there anything more specifically that you
No,
intended?
No, Austin just asked me to come up, and that's the general knowledge that I got off the top of my head. But like I said, I can look further into it and definitely see what we can figure out.
Okay, next then is agenda items. 1, review of action items and ongoing action item list.
Okay, so Derek's going to work on those barn fees for professional pass holders. Was there direction on the pocket park? Are you guys doing anything different?
I don't know where we stand on actually starting,
Okay.
so no.
So funds available to
Yeah.
enlist the contractor. to do
Privet
the tree.
removal.
Yeah, that's
Step
kind of the
one.
first step we need.
And Hunter will look into funding sources for trails.
Can we get a quote on that?
Sure, yeah.
Derek will get a quote on privet removal.
And to chip up the trunks.
Yeah, you're good.
What do you call that? Stumps.
Stump grind.
Thank you.
As far as the ongoing list goes, I'll skip all the pocket park stuff. I already sent Hunter off. So you've walked through the site now, right?
Pocket park?
Yeah.
I have. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we all have.
Yeah,
have it
I-
individually.
Okay, so we'll
yeah.
cross that off then.
Yep.
We know where it is.
Okay. Okay. Hunter's still working on Belle Grove. Have you all, Dan, have you met with Andy about fixing the pitch of the ditch, whichever pitch of the ditch that is?
No, I think it's on. We're waiting for DOT because we're not allowed to do anything.
That's
My
right.
understanding. But whatever Andy did before has helped a ton to build up a berm. So maybe it'll just work and it'll be good. But I think ultimately we got to get the ditch graded so the water flows downhill.
Derek, are we still planning a health expo and blood drive for Marvin Day?
Yes.
Okay. Derek and Dan, get together about the washout at the cottage garden at the park.
To be determined.
Okay.
Yeah, we did add some more gravel there on the 9th, so it looks better now.
We're still doing the fun run for Marvin Day, correct? Y'all mapped that out
In
yet?
conjunction with the health expo.
Walkathon.
Walkathon.
Fun walk. Doesn't have the same ring.
Have you mapped it out yet? Is what?
No. Not
Okay.
officially, but yes.
Walk that way.
Yeah.
Logo and sponsorship tier structure. We've done sponsorships and we've narrowed down logos. Work on nature walks and T-shirt logos. That was
Well, t-shirt. That
Yeah.
logo's logo.
Okay.
I hope. God Lord, please.
I'll
don't
just
have to.
combine.
No, yeah.
I'll just combine those two. 'Cause
Trust me, there will be a nature walk. There's a
We
trail over
know
there
we
now.
know Bob's still working on the garden art tours. You're still working on equine events. The mayor is working on the car show. He's still figuring that out. And we talked about bands and food trucks. Did we talk to Marvin Elementary about using their field?
Yes, that's in the works.
Okay, still in the works.
Yeah, because that's for the first part of the day, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very
Um,
first thing.
Talk with DOT about pedestrian connectivity to the roundabout. anything dealing with the roundabout is on hold. We don't know what's going on with the roundabout right now. We still haven't got plans.
The other one.
We have not got any sort. We have not got their plans. I think DOT's giving us an update at our next meeting, but I wouldn't count on it. And we've okay, and Christina finished that communication. Pretty sure didn't we finish the communication to target sponsors and local businesses for Marvin Day? Did we do that yet?
Yes.
Okay, so check that off.
Yeah, it's like a cover sheet.
Yeah. Okay, so that's
to go
done.
with the sponsorship structure.
Okay, that's all. That's it.
All right. Now, board comments, anything from you, Dan?
No, thank you.
All right.
Same here, no
Nothing from
thank
me? No, we're good. Do I hear a motion on the table then to
Adjourn.
the Village of Marvin Parks, Recreation, and Greenways Board meeting here at 11:30 a.m. on November 2nd, 2021?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.